everybody. This is Filmtastic Panda here, and I'm bringing you some updated Oscar predictions. This comes after the fall festivals. It gave us some pretty good ideas of where movies stand. Some movies that we and I myself expected to be big hitters have flopped, and some movies have kind of risen up the ranks. So I wanted to do some big updates to my predictions, and this also includes some of my experiences at TIFF. I had the chance to go to the festival and see a bunch of the movies that were there. And so now I have a renewed idea of where they stand. And I definitely have some updates when it comes to the acting categories, having seen them at TIFF. For anybody who's curious too, I'm going to be doing some coverage on the TIFF movies I saw specifically. I already did one review for The Whale, which you should see up above. But I'm also going to be doing reviews for all the other movies I saw at TIFF, so look out for those. Moving on to Best Picture, I have two very obvious picks for my top two, and it's Babylon and The Fabelmans. At number one, Babylon, they just put out a trailer for it. I saw the trailer first at TIFF in conversation with Damien Chazelle, which is really cool, and it looks absolutely unbelievable. It looks like it's going to be a player on a bunch of below-the-line categories. The acting looks like it's going to be like really kooky and out there. So it just, it seems to fit all the criteria as far as nominations go for a Best Picture contender. At number two, I have The Fabelmans, a movie that I saw at TIFF and that just won the TIFF People's Choice Award, which propels it obviously into a really high position for Best Picture. I think honestly this is going to be competing neck and neck with Babylon and Everything Everywhere All at Once, who I think will be the three movies kind of contending for that top spot. And it's really good bait. I mean, I saw this movie, I really liked it. There's some issues I have with it, but overall, it's a movie about Spielberg's childhood, and I think the Academy is really going to eat that up. I find it hard to believe that they're not going to enjoy this movie, so that's why I have it at number two. Once, which obviously everybody knows about, it was a huge hit, and going on Twitter and going on social media, there seems to still be like quite a lot of hype around this movie, and people aren't just letting it die and lose off steam. So I'm thinking this is going to be like really strong, and people are going to be really rooting for this come award season, so I'm keeping my eye on it. Then we got Banshees of Inisherin, Martin McDonagh's new movie, premiered to rave reviews at Venice, and it played at TIFF as well, got excellent reaction there too. It seems like it's his best work, so easy top 5 movie for me. At number 5, I have Women Talking, which is a movie I saw at TIFF. When I saw it, I didn't really love it, and I think that might have to do with how tired I was when I first entered the screening. So I really need to give this another chance, but the reactions around me were really positive. It has a pretty good Metacritic score and Rotten Tomatoes score. It's, it has a message that people want to get behind, so I can definitely see this getting nominated for sure. At number 6, we got Tar, which is one of the most acclaimed movies so far this year. Got absolutely amazing reactions out of Venice and Telluride, and Cate Blanchett looks like she's going to be like steamrolling in the lead actress category, so this seems like a really strong bet for picture, and I honestly think its chances are like above a 90% at this point. Then at number 7, we have another, I think almost lock, which is Top Gun Maverick. Everybody probably has this on their list at this point because of how successful it was, being like a top 5 domestic grossing movie with, great production value, great under the line categories, and just an overall like crowd pleaser. So yeah, getting in. At 8, All Quiet on the Western Front, which it was on my radar for sure. I knew it was one of Netflix's players, but after Bardo kind of completely fell off the tracks, White Noise also didn't pick up a lot of steam. It seems like it's one of Netflix's best bets, alongside Glass Onion. But what I think about All Quiet on the Western Front's chances is it's an international movie, so it could be that international feature that gets into Best Picture. It can be a contender for director and for a bunch of other categories. And the reactions out of TIFF were really, really good. I didn't get a chance to see it, but it was pretty excellent across the board. So I think this one is pretty strong, and Netflix behind it definitely, makes it seem like an even stronger candidate. Then we got The Whale, the only movie I've reviewed thus far from TIFF, and people who have seen my review know that I really, really like this movie. So I think I'm trying to keep my bias out of this. I honestly think this is going to play really, really well with audiences, and, it's a real tearjerker if you connect to the movie, and it's just a kind of film that you want to get behind. You want to get behind Brendan Fraser's performance as well, and the fact that he is the front runner for actor means this movie might have a stronger chance in picture. So I'm definitely putting it there for now. Then wrapping up the 10, I have Glass Onion, another movie I saw at TIFF, and another movie I really liked. This is probably on par, and some would argue even better than the first movie. I would say it's slightly better than the first, even though it has a couple minor issues. And honestly, it's just a really fun, like, great, entertaining movie that a lot of people are gonna love. If Netflix puts its eggs behind it, if they put all their eggs in their basket, I think Glass Onion has a very, very solid chance of getting in, and I would love to see that happen. Another movie I saw at TIFF, Triangle of Sadness, sitting right outside my picks. Excellent movie for an audience to see. I had slight issues with it, but I think it's a ton of fun. Like, really, really funny. So that's another kind of can movie that can potentially get in. That would be an interesting pick, and I would enjoy seeing that. And then the next can movie is Decision to Leave, which I haven't seen yet. I've seen a couple trailers for it. It looks unbelievable. I know I'm gonna love that movie, and I think this is kind of like the other international feature contender. So this or All Quiet on the Western Front. I think one of those gets in. I'm thinking right now All Quiet, but Decision to Leave could easily be it, and I know it's an excellent movie from the reviews, and then I'm probably gonna like it a lot. Then we got Avatar 2, which, never doubt James Cameron. That phrase has been spouted on Twitter and on a bunch of social media. Never doubt James Cameron. I'm sure Avatar 2 is going to be quite a spectacle. Some people are going to be knives out for it the second it comes out, but I do still think that if it is a big blockbuster, like a huge success, it can probably still like do some damage. And then wrapping it up, I have Elvis and Empire of Light. Elvis is a crowd pleaser. It's a biopic. The Academy sometimes nominates those. And Empire of Light is a movie that I did not like from TIFF, but I can recognize how it's baity enough, and the performances and the technical elements of the movie are good enough that it could still possibly get in. Although I'm not considering it as strongly as with the other picks. Then we got Best Director, and I think this is gonna be a battle to the death between Steven Spielberg and Damien Chazelle. And right now I have Damien Chazelle coming up on top because I have Babylon winning Best Picture, and I think this is going to be the thing that carries it to Best Picture potentially. Damien Chazelle's direction in this looks like he is going balls to the wall with that trailer. And yeah, I just come to expect greatness from the man from his previous 3 features. I know this is going to be excellent. And if there's somebody who can challenge him is Steven Spielberg with his personal story. I've seen some comments on Twitter and on Letterboxd saying that this might not be his most directorially impressive movie, but I was honestly like really, really sucked into his direction specifically. I thought I had a couple issues with the screenplay of The Fabelmans, but his direction was like really, really magical to me. Really brought me into the world he was trying to build in that movie. And because Fabelmans is a personal story, I can totally see this happening. Then we have Todd Field at number 3. This seems like it's going to be a critic's darling. It's like, in many people's eyes, like a masterpiece. So for that reason alone, I think it's pretty smart to have him in. Sarah Polley for Women Talking. People really want to get behind this. Sarah Polley is a young and very talented director. And, I think there's enough hype. Women Talking placed second at TIFF. And I just see this happening. I just see her getting in, and because Women Talking is going to be kind of like a top 6 contender for Best Picture, I can totally see this happening. Then we have Edward Berger for All Quiet on the Western Front. I have him as my international pick, and I have him in because I've heard the direction of this movie is like astounding. So I am gonna keep him in for now. But yeah, I mean, who knows? He might not be the international director pick. At number 6, I have Daniels. Everything Everywhere All at Once seems like a really, really strong Best Picture contender, so I am keeping them right outside my picks. Same thing goes for McDonagh and Banshees, really strong contenders, so he is definitely up there. And then at, rounding out my list, I have Park Chan-wook, who's another potential international feature contender. I have Aronofsky for The Whale, which I don't think is like the most directorially kind of impressive movie, but I do think he managed to capture something really powerful, and I would love to see that. And then I have James Cameron for Avatar 2, because, it's Avatar 2 and it's James Cameron. Actor. Number one, Brendan Fraser. Easy, lock it in. I've seen this performance. I've seen a bunch of the other performances here, and they're all really good. But Brendan Fraser is taking the Oscar, and there's, I think, in my mind, like maybe a 0.001% chance he loses. Like it has to come out that he like did something like terrible and obscene for him to lose this Oscar. Like it's in the bag. And then we have Colin Farrell, who won the Best Actor prize at Venice. Apparently he's excellent. Haven't seen his performance, but I'm definitely seeing this as a top tier player. Then we got Austin Butler for Elvis. People know how good he is in that movie. He is absolutely excellent. And I definitely think Austin Butler is going to be a star from this day forth. Then at 4 we have Hugh Jackman, who was in a very divisive movie called The Sun, and I saw this movie. I kind of liked it, but I do have reservations about it. One thing that's not a reservation, though, is Hugh Jackman's performance, who I think is excellent in the movie and should definitely get nominated for this. And then at 5, we have Diego Calva for Babylon, who is going to be, in one of the best picture contenders with the highest hype. And he's a new actor. People are going to be rooting for him. He is a Hispanic actor. I'm Hispanic as well. I would love to see him get in, so Diego Calva. And then, my outside picks are Tom Cruise, Bill Nye, Michael Ward for Empire of Light, who I thought was great in the movie. Gabriel LaBelle, I'm not sure if he's going to be campaigning this lead, but he is the kid in The Fablemans, and he is really, really good. And then Jeremy Pope for The Inspection, who I think is, the standout aspect of that movie, apparently. So I think those are a good way of running out my picks. Then let's move on to actress. At number 1, I have Cate Blanchett. She seems like she's going to be sweeping this season. People are going to be rooting for Yo and for Margot Robbie, and we're yet to see Margot Robbie's performance, but Blanchett is supposed to be like a tour de force, kind of like once in a few years kind of thing. So yeah, I think this one takes it for now. Then obviously Robbie might be incredible in Babylon. She looks like she's going to be incredible from the trailer, so I have her like really high up. Michelle Yeoh is going to get nominated. People want to see it happen, and she totally deserves to get nominated for her performance. I just don't see it winning, but I think, it'll be a great moment to see her nominated at the very least. Then I have Olivia Colman, who is like by far the best thing about Empire of Light in my eyes. She is maybe the best actress living, and she managed to shine in a movie that was otherwise pretty lackluster for me. So, yeah, Olivia Colman, I think, gets in. Then I have a little bit of a rogue shout. I haven't even gone to this movie, but I have Mia Goth and Pearl. And I have her in just because people's reactions to her performance are like really, really like hyped up. It seems like a kind of like Toni Collette and Hereditary kind of hype around her performance. So even though the Academy didn't nominate Collette in her year, I think, it's good to keep an eye on these kinds of performances, and maybe they'll kind of learn from their mistakes and nominate a horror A24 performance. So I'll keep an eye on her. And then running on my list, I have Danielle Deadwyler for Till. She's going to cry a lot. She's going to be really good. Naomi Ackie for I Want to Dance with Somebody. The screenwriter of that movie always gets actors nominated for stuff, so I can see that. I have Taylor Russell for Bones and All. Apparently she's very good, but I think, it might not be the kind of movie that the Academy fully embraces. I have Frankie Corio for Aftersun, who might be one of my favorite performances I've seen this year, maybe top 2 or 3 from a leading woman. And she is an 11-year-old girl who just absolutely kills it in Aftersun. She's such an effortless talent, and I would just love to see this happen. And then at number 10, I have Jennifer Lawrence for Causeway. I didn't particularly think she was the standout of the movie, but I thought she was very solid, and it definitely seems like the kind of role that would get some attention. So I'm keeping her around my picks for now. Supporting actor, Kihoi Kwan, number 1. Easy. I think I really, really love his performance in Everything Everywhere All at Once. My favorite supporting actor performance of the year so far, and yeah, I just see him getting in. Brad Pitt for Babylon. The trailer, again, points me in this direction. He looks like he's going to be doing a crazy kind of role thing, so yeah, put him in. Ben Whishaw out of Woman Talking. He was one of the highest standouts for me in the movie, one of the characters I connected to the most, and I really, really liked his performance, so I'd hope to see him getting nominated. Then we got Brendan Gleeson. I think Banshees of Inisherin will ride really high on its performers, and Brendan Gleeson is somebody that people love and kind of want to get behind, so totally can see this happening. And then we have Judd Hirsch, who has like a little like 10-minute scene in The Fablemans and just kind of steals the show. He got a mid-movie applause at TIFF, and people really seem to be buying into his like short but really strong performance in The Fablemans. So I have him in so far. And then I have Paul Dano like right outside my picks. Another potential Fablemans boy, but his performance is a little bit more quiet and more muted throughout the film. So maybe he doesn't get in for this. Then I have Barry Keoghan, who I've heard is really fun and like really excellent. Dimensions of Inisherin, and might be getting his thunder stolen a little bit by Brendan Gleeson's kind of popularity. But I'm keeping my eye on Barry Keoghan. He's an excellent actor, and he was like amazing in Killing of the Sacred Deer and other movies. So I think he might have a solid kind of an outside shout. Brian Tyree Henry was my favorite performance from Causeway, and one of my favorite, if not my favorite, supporting actor performance I saw at TIFF. He was excellent in that movie, and I think the Academy would definitely be right in nominating him, but right now I have him outside. Zlatko Buric, another really strong performance from TIFF in Triangle of Sadness, really funny. And Paul Mescal in After Sun, a heartbreaking, really natural and effortless performance. Love to see it happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to see it happen. Supporting actress, I have at number 1, Carrie Condon. I haven't seen Banshees of Inisherin, but everything I've heard about her performance makes me think that it might actually be like a sneaky contender for winning the award. And the reason I say this is because Michelle Williams is next. Has a lot of hype behind her, but I didn't really love her performance in The Fablemans. She was going a little bit over the top with it, and it just didn't kind of resonate with me as much. So that's why I have Carrie Condon at the top. The other people I have in here, Jessie Buckley and Claire Foy and Sadie Sink, are in movies with at least two very strong supporting actresses. So they might kind of steal some thunder from one another. That's why I have them like right below Michelle Williams and Carrie Condon. So that's kind of my reasoning for the top 5. And then outside that, I have Hong Chow, also in The Whale. She's absolutely amazing. Oh yeah, and let me just mention, the people I talked about briefly. Claire Foy, excellent. Sadie Sink is a tornado, like many people have said, and The Whale. And Jessie Buckley, again, as consistent as ever. But my favorite performances were probably The Whale girls. Hong Chow and Sadie Sink just killed it. Like, absolutely killed it. Stephanie Sue in Everything Everywhere All at Once is outside my picks, but, pretty strong. I saw Janelle Monáe in Glass Onion, and she does have a lot of screen time and a lot of stuff to do. But I don't think her performance is quite as baity as some of the others, so I'm keeping her outside. Dolly De Leon is another person who got midway applause through my Triangle of Sadness screening, so I can totally see her getting some hype. And Nina Haas for Tar, who, opposite Cate Blanchett, might have a very strong chance, and I've heard very good things about her performance, so I'm keeping her around my kind of line of vision. Original screenplay, Everything Everywhere All at Once winning. I think it's going to be hard for the Academy to deny this movie's originality. I don't know if I had it winning original screenplay before, but I think now, like having seen more movies, this just stands out as a incredible, creative, bombastic screenplay that totally deserves to be rewarded. So I can definitely see this winning. Then I have Babylon. It's going to be another really strong effort by Chazelle, and it's obviously going to be a top contender for Best Picture, so easy. Banshees of Inisherin seems like it's Martin McDonagh's best work in like ever, and the screenplay is something that people are like specifically highlighting, so I can see this being a top contender. Fableman's personal story by Spielberg and co-written by Tony Kushner. I found maybe a few kinks with the screenplay, but I do think it's overall like a really strong contender. And then Tar, again, is a critic darling kind of movie that I can totally see getting into screenplay. And yeah, it just seems like an easy pick for my top 5. Rounding it out, I have Triangle of Sadness, Decision to Leave, Bros, which hit really big at TIFF. Didn't get the chance to see it, but I would love to see it when it comes out. After Sun, which is a really understated but excellent, like brilliant screenplay. And Empire of Light, which is a pretty bad screenplay that I think, still has somehow, I think, an outside shot of potentially getting in. For adapted screenplay, I have Women Talking at number 1. Again, it's not a movie that I loved and I need to rewatch because I feel like my tiredness played into that, but people love this movie, and looking at a thinner lineup for adapted screenplay, it definitely seems like a strong contender, especially because I think it's going to be a big picture like lock in. So I can definitely see it happening. Glass Onion at number two, brilliant murder mystery, like just absolutely amazing. Like Ryan Johnson keeps delivering at the top of his game, and if this doesn't get nominated, I'm gonna like probably go insane. So please, God, nominate this movie. The Whale, love that movie, and I think a couple people might have issues with the wordiness of the screenplay, but I really want to see this getting nominated. And God, I really hope it does. And yeah, honestly, I just want to see this get nominated. And because of the weaker lineup, it seems really strong. She said, don't know much about this movie yet. I guess we'll find out what the reactions are at NIF, but I'm keeping it in for now. All Quiet on the Western Front. This is, again, one of Netflix's bigger players, and I think, because it's based on a clean novel and the movie's apparently very good, it has a strong chance of getting in. The Sun is right outside. It might be too divisive to get in. Some people might just hate it and like bash on it, and its reputation might just tank enough for it not to get in. But I still have it around. Del Toro's Pinocchio is kind of my animated contender for this, and that'd be kind of fun to see. So I can just kind of have it in for the. So I just kind of have it in there. And then White Noise, which got mixed receptions but mostly positive. Top Gun Maverick people really like, and Avatar 2, which might be a great blockbuster as well. So we'll see. Cinematography. I think if you look at the trailer for Babylon, you can easily see how that wins. Fablemans. Also look at the trailer. It has a lot of backlighting, which I can sometimes get it behind and sometimes not. But I do think the cinematography is pretty excellent, and the Academy's going to recognize that. Dennis Kaminsky, the master. Empire of Light is Roger Deakins shooting, so you can expect the movie to be very well shot. Another of the standout elements of the movie. And even if it doesn't get Best Picture, which I'm predicting, I think this movie can easily get into cinematography. So look out for that. Top Gun Maverick, really cool, innovative cinematography. So I can definitely see this getting rewarded for that, and I would love to see that getting rewarded. All Quiet on the Western Front, war movie with what seems to be really great cinematography from the trailer and from reactions. I just, this looks like a pretty strong contender across the board for underlying categories. The Batman has excellent cinematography. If there was any justice in this world, this would be getting in, but it came out earlier in the year, so it might not get in. I would beyond love to see that. Banshees of Inisherin, strong Best Picture contender. Cinematography looks like it's great, so I have it outside, just outside. Women Talking, I didn't love the color grading in this movie. I'm not sure if that kind of plays into cinematography, but yeah, it wouldn't be my pick necessarily, but I think because it's a strong contender, I have it in here. Bardo completely got dunked on at Venice, like super got dunked on, but I think if there's anything that's gonna kind of like be rescued from this movie, it might be below the line categories like cinematography. So I have it outside my top, but still kind of around for that reason. And then at 10, I have Decision to Leave. If you see the trailer as well, you'll know that this has excellent cinematography, and I would also really like this to get in. Production design. Babylon, I think, probably is going to win. There's a chance something else wins, but this looks really strong. It looks like a lot of production design, so yeah, putting in. All Quiet on the Western Front, war movie. People have been saying it has great production value, great production design, so putting it in. Glass Onion, I can confirm after having seen the movie that the settings are really cool. Really cool contemporary production design. Would love to see that happen, and it has to happen. It would only be fair. The Fablemans, it's not the flashiest production design, but it has some period elements that I think might get it in. It has like a school and some different settings that are cool and interesting, and it's a top contender, so why not? Bardo, I have it inside actually in my top five, and again, this is kind of like cinematography, where I just think like this is probably where the movie might show up, but it might trickle down my list after I see the movie. We'll see. Avatar 2, production design that's fully in a virtual environment, right outside my top five, but really strong. Empire of Light, another great below the line thing about the movie. Decision to Leave, I Also just basing this off the trailer, but looks great. And then to round it up, Everything Everywhere All at Once and Tar, which are two like big Best Picture contenders, which with like pretty solid production design. So yes. Then we have editing. Running through these really quickly. Top Gun, planes, a lot of editing of aerial footage. Totally deserves to be nominated and potentially win. Everything Everywhere All at Once, an absolute feat in editing. Just crazy the amount of montages they had to do. Babylon is a Damien Chazelle movie that already kind of comes in with the editing nomination because Tom Cruise is an absolute master. The Fabelmans, top Best Picture contender, really great editing, I thought, so totally seeing it again. All Quiet on the Western Front, again, just sneaking in. War movie, it's going to have a lot of editing. It's going to be, action editing, so the Academy usually buys into that. Decision to Leave, only heard good things about this. Tar, again, also only heard good things about this, and I've heard the editing is very good. Avatar 2 is a blockbuster action movie, 3 hours long. The footage that they filmed for the movie was probably like 10 hours long, so I'm sure it was edited down quite a bit, so maybe. And then Elvis with wacky editing and Black Panther 2, another action movie, so that rounds it up. Sound, kind of going along with editing, Top Gun Maverick, Jets, Babylon, a lot of music, a lot of crazy parties and wild stuff. All Quiet on the Western Front, war movie, gunshots, fires, explosions. The Batman, soaring sound design, excellent movie, should totally get in. Everything Everywhere All at Once, again, also like soaring sound design that I really, really liked and I thought like contributed to the movie massively. So totally deserving of the nomination. The Fableman's just right outside. It has some moments of sound design at the beginning of the movie, but nothing too crazy. It might just kind of roll with the Best Picture nom and kind of serious contender status it has. Avatar 2, blockbuster, is going to be loud. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. Nope. I've seen this movie, and even though I have mixed feelings on it, I think the sound design is excellent. And then Black Panther 2, another action movie, and Elvis, which is like a musical biopic movie, so there you go. Best score. Watch the Babylon trailer, and you'll know that Justin Hurwitz is putting on another banger for his new movie, and that's why I have him at number 1 for Babylon. The Whale has one of the most emotionally involved scores that might not work for everybody, but just like is so important, I think, to the movie that I can just definitely see this kind of coming along with the movie. The Batman has one of the most iconic scores of the year. I really, really hope the Academy doesn't forget about this one. I have it in. Tar has Hildur G's, sorry, I don't want to mispronounce her name's score, and apparently it's excellent. And, I see one for 2 scores getting in, and I didn't really love the Women Talking score that much, so I'm putting this in for now, kind of as a placeholder. But it could be Women Talking as well. People have different opinions. Empire of Light, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross killed it with the score. Another great element of the movie, and I think totally deserving. If it was in a better movie, it would be an absolute lock, I think. All Quiet on the Western Front, heard amazing things about the score. So putting this right outside. The Fablemans, not John Williams' greatest score, but I do think there's a pretty strong chance it gets nominated just because John Williams is such a figure, such a beloved figure, and he gets nominated a fuck ton. So I can totally see this happening. And then Women Talking, which I've talked about, I think it definitely could get in. Some people really like it, so it's a possibility for sure. And The Sun, which is composed by Hans Zimmer, could get in. I think the score is also kind of banking on the emotional resonance of the movie, so it might not work for some people, but it did work with me to a certain extent. Makeup and hair, we got number 1, The Whale. Brendan Fraser's prosthetics and his whole suit that he has, his face, everything just looks unbelievably good and just really doesn't take you out of the movie at all, which is kind of crazy to think about. Just should totally win for this. Babylon is gonna have a lot of makeup and hairstyling. Everything Everywhere with Jobu Tapake, I think that's what her name is. The Batman has Colin Farrell's transformation, so the branch is totally going to recognize this. All Quiet on the Western Front, a lot of blood, a lot of, recreations of things from war that are going to be done with makeup, so totally see this. Elvis has some makeup on, and Tom Hanks has prosthetics. Black Panther 2, we've seen Black Panther 1, and we know there's a lot of stuff going on there, so if it lives up to Black Panther, it could totally get in. White Noise, there's some cool stuff going on with Greta Gerwig and Adam Driver in that movie. And, you know, I think it doesn't get in, but it'd be kind of funny. Pearl has blood and gore again, and Mia Goth has a lot of makeup on, so again, this could be, you know, one of the outside shots. And then the Northman also has some makeup stuff going on with the gore. So, yep, those are my picks. And then costumes, we got Babylon, period piece, looks amazing. Everything Everywhere, Tobu Japake again. Black Panther 2, Black Panther 1 Best Costumes in 2018. Elvis was wearing a lot of costumes in his movie. The Fablemans is like a top tier contender and also has some kind of, I guess you can call them period costumes, even though they're not that flashy. Glass Onion has some great costume design for the characters. They have like some mask jokes with COVID, which I thought were really funny. And yeah, just overall, like I would love to see that. Honestly, that would be one of my top picks for costumes. All Quiet on the Western Front has war uniforms. I guess that's kind of what I'm putting it in for. The Batman is, you know, the Batman's costume and Catwoman's costume and stuff, you know, which are big parts of the movie, so could maybe get in. And then the White Noise again, some kookiness going on with their costume. And then Blonde, which I don't think the Academy is gonna lean into that much, but it does recreate some dresses the Marilyn Monroe wore, so you know it might get in. All right, let's run through animated feature really quickly. Pinocchio's del Toro looks amazing, and I would totally see that like winning. Turning Red, a really strong movie from Pixar, and I think their biggest contender this year. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is a movie that I loved, and apparently it qualifies as animated feature, which I'm really excited about. Strange World is a Disney movie coming out later this year, and the trailer looks really interesting and fun. So because Disney doesn't have a lot of contenders, I can pretty much see this like getting in. Eternal Spring is a Canadian documentary that's animated, and I really haven't heard too much about this, but you know maybe it just hasn't like kind of been seen by enough people. I'm kind of just waiting to see what the reactions are to this movie, but I'm keeping it in for now. And I left Wendell and Wild outside my top because it didn't play that well at TIFF. It apparently has like some serious like screenplay issues. So yeah, keeping it out for now. And then I have a Politan and a half from Linklater, Lightyear, which kind of flopped, and The Bad Guys in Sonic 2, which are kind of like whatever. So yep, those are my considerations for animated feature. Best documentary. All the Beauty and the Bloodshed went to all the festivals so far. It has like a 90 on Metacritic. People seem to really think this is like an excellent documentary, so it's winning for now. Moon Age Daydream is a strong contender. David Bowie documentary. It's Technicolor, like kind of very like flashy and cool, so could totally get in. Navalny is about the infamous Russian figure Navalny, and his story seems quite pertinent with the Russia-Ukraine conflict and everything that's going on, so I can easily see this. And then I have Fire of Love, which got some pretty good reception. And I have Icarus The Aftermath, which is the follow-up to the Icarus documentary that got some awards a few years back. And then my bottom five, you know, Eternal Spring, which I talked about, and then another 4 documentaries that I haven't had the chance to see or even heard much from, but I have just slightly read that these are good documentaries. I need to get more informed on this category, but for now, that's kind of what I have in here. Hey there, just a little insert on the video. I just found out that India did not submit RRR for their international submission, and Romania did not submit RMN. The news came out today, so I didn't have a chance to update that in my video. But yeah, just feel free to ignore those picks for me, and you'll be left with my top 8. Keep enjoying! Then we got international feature, and right now, just based on what I have in Best Picture and in other categories, I'm putting All Quiet on the Western Front at number 1. I think this is definitely going to be a 2-horse race here between All Quiet and Decision to Leave. Most people probably think the same way. Right now I have All Quiet on the Western Front because it's a war movie. It's like a high like production value movie with like a high budget. It seems like a story that people are really resonating with, like emotionally. So for that reason it has the edge over Decision to Leave, which might be like, we know it's an excellent movie. It's gotten great reviews so far. It might even be a better movie than All Quiet, but because it's a detective thing, that it's a little bit more stylized, it might not necessarily be the Academy's thing. So that's why I have it at number 2, but I can totally see these like interchanging. Then I have RRR from India, which I think is like a strong third for me. There's, I'd be curious to see what happens with this movie, whether there's a kind of like a late surge for it, because some people, like people have seen it, really like this movie, and it could get a lot of traction from just like typical audience members and younger Academy voters. I can see this totally like kind of maybe even trying to compete with these top two movies, but for now I have it at number three. Close from A24. This is a Belgian film, looks really strong. Holy Spider, another movie that premiered at Cannes that looked really strong and got some great reception at TIFF as well. And then I have RMN from Romania, another movie that's gotten great reception. Corsage, all these movies are great. Then I have Bardo. Yeah, I'm keeping Bardo kind of around right now. It doesn't seem like it's gonna get in, but it's still in Yuri too, and it's still like a big thing. So who knows? The Academy has a lot of love for him. I can maybe. Then we have EO from Poland, which is about a donkey. That would be great. Haven't seen this movie, but would love to see a donkey kind of be featured in an international feature nomination. And then Eternal Spring from Canada, which I've referred to a couple times before. This might be a player in a bunch of categories. And yeah, that concludes my wrap up for the Oscar season. There's a lot that I still have to see. I have to see Tar, I have to see Babylon, I have to see She Said, Avatar, Black Panther. A ton of stuff I even yet to see. Banshees of Inisherin, obviously. But, I think things are starting to line up right now. Like, people are starting to kind of piece together what's going to be a big player or not. Babylon is kind of like the big, not necessarily enigma, because people know it's going to be really good, but once we get reactions to that movie, I think the top 3 or 4 are going to be like fully lined up. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing this Oscar predictions video, and I'm going to continue my TIFF coverage over the next few days, putting out reviews for the movies I saw. But for now, I just kind of want to know what you guys' thoughts are, what you have as maybe your top 10 for Best Picture or any category. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and feel free to like and subscribe. Appreciate the support, and as always, peace.